Hi, this is Bill and Scott from BS Games, and we know you don't have a lot of time to read the rulebook for Mathemagician's Duel, so we're going to have Scott read it for you and save you some time.
Hello. Are you seated comfortably? Here's the rulebook for Mathemagician's Duel. Objective. Players take on the role of dueling mathematicians to compete to cast spells against each other. Players compete their spells by harnessing the magical energy of numerals and operators to create an incantation that equals the casting value of their spell. A mathematician does so unleashes the spell and weakens their opponent, lowering the magical strength, and one opponent is reduces their magical strength. They are no longer strong enough to cast spells, and the other mathematician is victorious. Cards. There are 4 types of cards explained on the following pages. Magical energy. These cards have blue backs and numerals 1 to 9 on their faces. Magical symbols. These cards have red backs and operators on their faces, plus or minus. They are used to between the numerals to help make the incantation equal the casting value of the spell. Spells. These cards are the spells to be cast by the mathematicians against their opponents. Each card has the name of the spell, casting value, minimum incantation, and the effect of the spell. Casting value. This is the value of the incantation must equal in order to cast the spell. This is indicated by the number with the equal sign next to it at the top left of the card. Minimum number. This is the minimum number of numerals, blue magical energy cards, that must be an incantation before it can be cast. This is indicated by the number next to the picture of the card at the top right of the spell card. Invocation. Written below the picture in between quotation marks, these are the words a player must say to declare the spell has been cast. Spell effect. This is the effect of a successfully cast spell. It indicates a loss of magical strength of the target. It is written at the bottom of the card. Scorecards. These consist of a current strength magical strength card and a magical strength card. The magical strength card has the numbers 1 to 10 on one side, 11 and 20 on the other. The current magical strength card has a wizard's arm pointing to show the remaining magical strength. Setup. Shuffle the magical energy and magical symbols deck separately. Each player draws a total of 5 cards from the combination of magical energy and magical symbols decks. They can choose which combinations, and so can take 3 magical energy and 2 magical symbols, or vice versa, or even 4 from one of the decks and 1 from the other. The player should look at the cards before they draw their spells, because the cards they have in their hands may affect their spell choice. Each player draws 3 spell cards, chooses one, and puts the other 2 aside to be played later. Both players reveal their chosen initial spell cards and place them on the table in front of them. Both players start with 20 magical strength. Set your score cards with fingers pointing to the circle marked 20. Gameplay. Who goes first? To determine who goes first, each player will cut the deck by lifting a random number of cards from the magical energy deck, revealing the bottom card of the lifted stack. The player who shows a higher value of a card will go first. In the case of a tie, both players should recut the deck in the manner described above. Starting the game, the first player must play a card either on their own incantation or their opponent's. The first card in incantation must be a numeral. After playing a card, the player ends their turn by drawing a card from either the magical energy or magical symbols deck and bringing their hand back up to 5 cards, and their opponent takes their turn. The incantation. On each turn, players play 1 card. They may choose to play on the end of their own incantation to progress towards the casting value of their spell, or they may play on their opponent's incantation to try to prevent them from reaching their own spell's casting value. Be careful not to cast your opponent's spell for them. A numeral can only play after an operator, and an operator can only play after a numeral. There should never be 2 numerals or 2 operators in a row in an incantation. Also, when determining the value of an incantation, it is always read and calculated from left to right. If a mathematician plays a card that causes an incantation value to go below 0, magical misfire occurs. Pulling energy from the incantation. Instead of playing a card, a player may choose to remove cards from their own incantation. They may do this only if the incantation contains at least as many numerals as double the minimum printed on the current spell. For example, if the spell has a minimum amount of 3, the incantation must contain at least 6 numerals to perform this move. To perform this move, the mathematician takes a numeral and 1 operator adjacent to that numeral and returns them to their hand. This will bring their hand of cards to 7. The player plays subsequent turns as normal, except they may not draw new cards at the end of their turn until they are down to 4 cards at the end of a turn. They may also not do this move again until their hand contains 5 cards. Unable to play. A mathematician must play a card on their turn if they can, even if it might be beneficial to their opponent. They may not pass their turn. However, 2 circumstances could occur which would prevent the player from being able to play a card. 1, their hand consists entirely of 1 type of card, operators and numerals, and the other type needs to be played next on both incantations. Or 2, they realize that any card they play from their hand will cause a magical misfire. In either case, the player shows their hand of cards to their opponent, discards their hand, drawing a new set of 5 cards instead of playing a card for their turn. Taking advantage, their opponent may choose to remove the last card on either player's incantation. This is not mandatory. The opponent may choose not to. Casting spells. At the end of each turn, the player should check to see if their spell has been cast by calculating the value of incantation, seeing if it equals casting value of their spell, and the number of numerals in the incantation is equal to or greater than the minimum of the spell card. If a player believes that these conditions have been met, the player declares the spell to be cast by reading aloud the invocation on the text card. The opponent should then double check the incantation. If it does meet the conditions, the spell is cast and their opponent suffers the effects. If the opponent determines that the incantation value does not meet the required conditions, a magical misfire occurs and the caster suffers the effects of the spell. Regardless of whom the spell affected, the casting player should discard a spell and the cards from their incantation back in the appropriate discard piles will keep their hand of cards. They should draw a new spell, adding to their stored spells from there to choose one to play. After noting the effect and subtracting the magical strength from the current total, the next player takes their turn. They do not lose anything from the incantation if a spell is cast on them. Magical misfire. If a player plays a card that causes an incantation to go below 0, magical misfire occurs. The owner of the incantation has their spell cast immediately, except the target of the spell is the player who caused a magical misfire. Playing a minus sign on incantation whose value is already 0 will immediately cause a magical misfire because that player cannot play on their own incantation without the value becoming negative. A player cannot force another player to cause a magical misfire. Magical deck runs out. If either magical energy or the magical symbols deck is depleted, both mathematicians lose 1 magical strength and discard pile of that deck is shuffled to form a new draw deck. The current spells are not discarded and this does not affect the cards in the player's hands. This happens as soon as the player draws a final card in either deck. In the unlikely event that there are no cards in the discard pile and the draw pile runs out because all the cards in the player's incantations in hand, then both players' incantations return to the draw decks and they both suffer the loss of 1 magical strength as normal. Winning the duel. Play continues back and forth, 1 player at a time until one mathematician's magical strength reduces to 0 or less. That mathematician is knocked out and the other is victorious. 3-player rules. When playing with 3 players, play continues to the left after the first player's turn. Any spell that is successfully cast will affect both opponents. Misfires still only affect the player that caused the misfire. A player wins when both opponents have reduced 0 magical strength. And I hope that clears things up for you, and you're able to go and play and enjoy your game of Mathemagician's Duel. Thank you.